The 1990s were a golden age for tech. Both Microsoft and Apple released a slew of iconic products that are still in use today. But while both companies had their successes, only one of them was able to capture the hearts and minds of the consumer. And as such, only one of them was able to produce a product that transcended the realm of technology and became part of popular culture. But which one? And more importantly, why? Welcome to the channel. Today, we're gonna find out Steve Jobs vs. Bill Gates, who was more influential. In terms of products alone, there's no contest here. The iMac wasn't just a wildly successful product, it was also undeniably cool. It took an industry that was dominated by beige boxes and introduced a splash of color into the mix. Literally, the first iMac came in only one color, blue, and no, that wasn't a mistake. Steve Jobs wanted the iMac to be the color blue because he believed that the computer industry needed some color. He was right. The iMac was a hit, selling over 10 million units within 4 years of its launch. And while sales have since declined due to supply chain issues, it's still in production to this day, which is more than you can say about the similarly colored Windows Vista. Not only that, but the iPod, iPhone, and iPad all fit into this same category of being both commercially successful and just plain cool. The iPod gave us the ability to carry around our entire music library in our pockets. The iPhone made that same claim about our entire digital life. And the iPad combined the portability of the iPod with the utility of the PC. Meanwhile, Microsoft didn't really have anything comparable during this time period. Their closest equivalent would probably be the Zune, which despite being technically impressive wasn't exactly a critical or commercial success. This is even more disappointing when you consider that Microsoft actually had the opportunity to release a product that could have fit nicely alongside the iMac and the iPod. They simply chose not to. We're of course talking about the Sega Dreamcast, which was developed by Microsoft's very own game studio, but was ultimately killed off due to resistance from Sega's management team, who didn't want to rely on a single company for all of their hardware. This would prove to be a fatal mistake, as the Dreamcast sold significantly better than its competitors, proving that there was indeed a market for Microsoft in the console space. This isn't to say that Microsoft wasn't commercially successful in the 90s, they most certainly were, especially compared to Apple, who went bankrupt in 1997, but cool, that's not really a metric. Influence is more than just the products that a company releases. It's also about how those products are received by the public. And no one embodied this better than Steve Jobs. Despite what many people think, Jobs was never really interested in building computers. He was interested in building tools to help people express themselves, whether that be through animated films, music, art, or photography. And that much is clear when you look at the products that he worked on. The Mac was the first computer with a full-fledged graphical user interface. The iPod was the first device that allowed users to easily organize and listen to their favorite songs. The iPhone put an entire photo studio in your pocket. And the iPad gave you the ability to consume content anywhere you went. These products weren't just innovative, they were intuitive, and that's what made them so powerful. By comparison, Microsoft products were always a bit more complicated. And that's because Bill Gates' approach to business was fundamentally different. While Jobs was focused on design and user experience, Gates was focused on functionality and market share. That's why Microsoft Office is filled with menus, toolbars, and multiple tabs. That's why Windows has multiple app windows stacked on top of each other. Functionality first, experience second. Now that's not necessarily a bad thing. And in fact, it led to some very innovative products such as Excel and World of Warcraft. But it's just not as inherently cool as the products that Jobs worked on. And as such, Jobs was far more influential than Gates. Not only did his products sell better, they also transcended the tech world and became ingrained into popular culture. Just ask any non-tech person which logo they recognize, the Apple or the Microsoft logo, and which products they've heard of, the iPod or the Xbox. In fact, you could replace the word iPod with iPhone or iPad, and the answer would still be the same. At the end of the day, both Jobs and Gates were incredibly successful, and both men deserved their places on the Forbes list. But if you're basing it on influence alone, Jobs wins this one. This is your host. Thanks for watching till the end, and I'll see you in the next one.